Planet Doug behind the scenes for Wednesday, December 21st, and it is about 9:45 in the morning, and I'm inside my room at the Wisada Hotel in Dumai, mixing up a cup of coffee, and today is a bit of a video editing day, so that's what I'm devoting today to, more or less. I'm working on the video that I shot when I took the ferry from Port Dickson to Dumai. It's taking me a while to get around to that video because, as always, endless technology problems. Ever since I upgraded from the X2, the Insta360 X2 to the X3, all of my reframed videos from the Insta360 app the audio has been way out of sync. It's really weird. I've been trying to fix the problem for days and I haven't been able to do it. It's a tough nut to crack because even when the audio is out of sync, it isn't out of sync in a consistent fashion. Like if you have your final export and the audio track is like 1/4 of a second out of sync with the video, that is a pain in the butt, but you can fix it. So all you do is take the audio track and move it 1/4 second, and then it lines up again. But that's not the problem here. The problem here is that as the video plays, the audio gets more and more and more out of sync. It drifts away from the video, which means you can't fix it. You can't adjust it, because if you adjust the end of the audio track, like you move it by 1/2 a second, now you've moved the beginning of the video out of sync by 1/2 a second. Like the whole thing is just completely mixed up. And I run into problems with this. I'm the member of a Reddit forum dedicated to Insta360 products. It's the official Insta360 subreddit, I guess they call them. And I think when I was still in Port Dickson, I was busy on that forum asking about this audio-video syncing problem. And I posted a message there describing what's going on, all the details. But ever since I came to Indonesia, I can't see if there's been any replies, because it turns out that Reddit is banned in Indonesia. So if you try to go onto Reddit, you can't get on there. I suppose you could do it if you have a VPN or something like that, but I don't have a VPN, so I'm blocked from getting onto Reddit. So maybe I doubt it very much, but I was laughing to myself that maybe somebody posted a solution to this problem, and yet I'll never know about it because here in Indonesia you can't use Reddit, which is kind of funny. Yeah, there are quite a few restrictions in Indonesia, as it turns out. I mentioned in another video that for the hotels, when you book them on Agoda, places like that, you generally see a notice connected with the hotels that unmarried couples are not allowed to stay in any of the hotels. Like legally, you can't. You have to be married in order to stay as a couple in a hotel. And you have to show a marriage certificate to prove it when you check in. That's what the official rules are. And I told a story in other videos about how my previous trips to Sumatra, I saw evidence of this, because the hotels that I was staying in would be subjected to midnight raids by the police. The police would show up with these big trucks and then raid the whole hotel. And then they just go from room to room, and they're police, so they don't have a whole lot of patience. So there I am in bed, sleeping soundly, and then suddenly, bang, 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 loud bangs on the door, and I see flashlights, shining all around the windows of the room, things like that. And I'm coming out of a sleep, what in the world is going on? I open the door, and there are a bunch of police out there who are shocked, of course, to see a foreigner. They're like, what is going on? I'm staying in a very low-budget hotel, and they're not accustomed to see foreign tourists in those places. But then they recover, and then they have to ask me as well. Like, they don't speak English, but of course, I know what's going on. I'd had this experience many times. And, are you alone? You're alone in this room, just one? And I'm like, yes. And then they poke their head in the room, and they get their flashlights, and they're shining it around the room to see if I'm hiding any women in there, any women hiding behind the door or, under the bed. How many women have you got stashed away in there? And I'm like, nobody, just me and my bicycle. That's all that's here. and then they go away. And they rounded up a lot of people on those occasions. Of course, I was wide awake by this point, and I would leave my room and watch all the action, and they were marching people out of the hotel, loading them up onto these trucks, and then driving them to the police station and booking them on immorality charges, or I don't know what happened to these people after that. And I could never get a clear answer about what was going on, or what would happen to these people. For all I know, like all these couples that were being taken out of the hotel, they could all be married for all I know, and they just didn't happen to have proof of their marriage with them. Who knows? But anyway, yeah, there are rules like that. And I noticed I got a Telkomsel SIM card the other day, so I now have access to the internet through Telkomsel. And I noticed that search results look different, like kind of standard. There was just something weird about them. And I did a bit of research, and I discovered that when you get internet access through Telkomsel, through their SIM, I don't know about other companies, but they automatically lock Safe Search on your phone. You're locked into Safe Search. Like I don't generally care about anything, and I have Safe Search turned off. I'm not out there looking for, bad things anyway, so it's not like I'm searching for stuff that's going to show up that's objectionable. I'm just doing normal internet searches, and I want the full results. So I turn Safe Search off. But when you have internet access here through a mobile provider, at least Telkomsel, your phone is locked. Like Safe Search is turned on, and you can't turn it off. You're locked into that. So there's a lot of morality policing going on here, which is kind of interesting. Yeah, I was just exporting a file. I'm doing this bit by bit. I'm going to record this behind the scenes video while I'm working. So I just finished exporting a file from Insta360, and what I have to do is go find it and then rename it so I keep track of what I'm doing. I'm calling all these files just ferry because I rode the ferry from Port Dixon to here. This is the story of that ferry trip, and this file is ferry number 14. Nope, number 15. Nope, number 16. I lost track of where I was. And then I copy that over to my SD card. Again, Insta360, like many programs these days, they're not allowed to access your SD card. I find that such a pain. I don't know why all these apps are set up that way. But when you download the Insta360 app to your phone, it can only save and copy and put everything in your phone's main memory. It is not allowed to access your SD card. So I have this ridiculous step where I have to export to the phone's internal memory, and once that's done, then I have to copy it to my SD card, and then I have to go back and delete the exported file. And I have to do that because I don't have enough memory. These things are huge. All these files are gigabytes, many, many gigabytes in size. And nobody has enough memory in their phone to handle these massive 360 video files. So you can only do them like one or two at a time, use up all the memory on your phone, and then you have to copy them to your SD card, because you can get SD cards, hundreds of gigabytes in size. You can get 1 terabyte cards. You can have all the memory you want in the SD card. But the program can't access the SD card. And most apps are like that, I find. They're locked into the phone's internal memory. I don't know why that is the case. Some legal thing, some patent issue, some restriction, who knows? It's always something, right? So to be honest, I'm not in a very good mood because I am facing constant technology problems. That's all I do. I was thinking of an analogy. I'm a bit like a carpenter, and a carpenter, his job is to build the house, and he's got all the material. He's got the wood and the nails and the, all the tools and everything. But every single day when that carpenter goes to work, like his hammer doesn't work. He puts a nail in place, and for whatever reason, his hammer keeps missing the nail. It's like, oh, my hammer is broken. And then he's trying to cut a piece of wood, and his saw doesn't have any teeth on the blade. It's just like a flat, round thing, and he can't cut the wood. His measuring tape won't pull out of the case. You know, he can't use his measuring tape. And if every single day when that carpenter goes to work to build the house and none of his tools work, that house is never going to get built. And that is my situation constantly. Now, I hate to be so negative all the time, but in the behind-the-scenes world, it is a very negative place. At least it always has been for me. The Insta360 camera is down for the count because the audio is out of sync with the video. And I've tried every single fix I can think of. I've even gone so crazy that I would export the file 2 times, because when I export the 360 video from my laptop, from the full Insta360 Studio app, then the audio is in sync with the video. That works. It's only on my smartphones that it doesn't work. And it doesn't work on all my phones. So you might think there's something wrong with my phone, but I mean, it's a powerful enough phone to run the program. There's no problem with that. The video itself, when you look at it in the Insta360 app, everything's fine. The audio and the video is in sync. Everything's perfect. It's only when you reframe it and then export it from the app and it turns into a normal video file, then the audio drifts out of sync with the video. So it happens on this phone, happens on my other phone, happens on the other phone, happens on the tablet. It happens on all the mobile devices running Insta360 mobile app. So I have to think the app is the problem. It's not me, it's not the phone, it's the app, and there's nothing I can do about that. And of course, I go to the Insta360 Reddit, you know, the official subreddit, and I'm asking my questions there, and then I can't get my answer from Insta360 because I'm banned from Reddit while I'm in Indonesia. That's pretty funny. But anyway, what I thought I could do is, well, the problem here is that you have to reframe all these videos, and reframing on the phone is what I need to do. I can reframe on the laptop, but then you have to use keyframes. And for the videos that I shoot, it's impossible. It's awkward, it's unbelievably slow, and I cannot get the results I want. With the phone, as I've demonstrated in the past, you reframe. All you need to do is watch the video, and while you're watching the video, you know, you move the phone around, pointing it in different directions. And it's fluid and easy, and it's fun. It's an amazing thing to do. I really love it. So that's how I have to reframe the videos. I can't do it on the laptop. But my solution was to use my phone, reframe the video using, you know, this technique, export this, and this export, the audio will be out of sync. Then go to my laptop, don't reframe, just do a straight export. Just pull the file, the original 360 file, into the Studio app. Don't reframe it, because I've already reframed it here. I don't need to reframe it there. All I want to do is export it. So I export it from there, and in that copy, the audio and the video are perfectly in sync. And then I will take this video, copy it to my laptop, and then I was going to take both copies, import them into my video editing program, and then delete the audio track from this copy and replace it with the audio track from that copy, and then they should be perfectly in sync. And this takes forever. This is such a long, involved process because exporting 360 video from the laptop takes forever. And then you're doubling everything. They're doubling your export time, doubling the file copying time. There's more editing work. It's a very, very long, complicated process. And I tested this out, and it doesn't work. I mean, it works. I mean, technically, I can remove the audio track from the mobile phone version and replace it with the audio track that I exported from the laptop. That's fine. You know, that's a very simple task. And then, however, it's still out of sync. It has the exact same drifting out of sync. So I think when you're exporting video and audio, you're not getting, maybe Einstein knows the answer here, but time is drifting a little bit. So the video that I exported from my phone is not exactly the same length as the video I exported from my laptop. Maybe the reframing changed it, who knows what happened, but basically the audio from the studio version does not line up with the video from the mobile version. They don't match, and they drift out of sync again. So that whole direction, complete waste of time, dead end, that's not going to work. So that's where I am right now, and I was working on that this morning. Well, that file finished copying from the phone's internal memory to the SD card, and now what I generally do is I have to go back to the app. This is the Insta360 app, and that's where I reframe the videos, and I move on to the next one. And the next one, oh, it's a very short one, so that's a good thing. I got a whole series of short videos here. This is a 32-second video clip that I shot on the ferry. So this is the normal procedure, by the way. I just open it up, change it to a 16:9, so I have the video playing on my phone now. And what I need to do is pre-plan the shot. So really, this whole 360 business to me is fascinating. It is so much fun, and I love it. I really, really love it, and I want to use 360 cameras the majority of the time. Like for example, just now, the previous video, the one before this one, I was talking about the luggage hold on the ferry and how they load luggage. And the way they do it is through this giant trap door. So there's a floor, there's a little thing there and a trap door in the floor that they open up, and then all the bags, there's a ladder there. One of the workers walks down the ladder into the cargo hold, and then all the bags are carried onto the boat through the main door. There's no like cargo door or anything. The main passenger door is also the cargo door, and they bring it in, and they all create almost like a lineup, handing bag from person to person to person, and then they hand it down to the person in the cargo hold, and all the bags, go down there. So I'm standing there above this trap door talking about the cargo hold, and it's like, whoa, I wonder what's down there. And I was like, oh, I wonder if my bike trailer is down there. And then I realized I have a 360 camera at the end of like a 10-foot pole. So I just took the camera and I put it down through the trap door. And then I've got the camera down there filming 360 degrees in the cargo hold. And at the time, I couldn't see anything because I was standing, on the deck of the boat. But my camera, I'd lowered it into the cargo hold. And then now, as I was reviewing the video, I could zoom around in the 360 video, and I found my bike trailer. Like I could see it down in the cargo hold. It's like, oh, there it is. And so I can put that in the video, even though in real life, I didn't even see it. So it's an amazing thing you can do with 360 video. If I could fix this audio syncing problem, I would be very happy. I've done a few other things this morning. I thought maybe there's a problem with speed on the phone, so I'm trying to streamline this phone. Like I went through it this morning and I deleted every single app that I can possibly delete to free up as much internal memory as I can. I don't know if that makes a difference. I went into everything I could think of and deleted anything that was stored in cache files. Like I'm just clearing the memory, streamlining it. I put it in airplane mode, turned off Bluetooth. Like I turned off everything just so that the phone can devote all of its power just to this one job. At least that's the theory. And even after I did all that, it made no difference. The audio is still out of sync. So it's very frustrating, and there's nothing I can do about it. I'm just going to soldier on, and I'll try and figure something out. But anyway, now I've got the next file open. Like I said, it's only about 30 seconds long, and I have to pre-plan this shot. So what I do is play the video, and then I look around inside the 360 view just to see what activity is going on around me. Like, what did I film? What's the most interesting thing? And which direction do I want the camera to be aiming? Okay, that was a pretty easy one. Wasn't very complicated. So now I've watched the footage, and I have an idea in my head of how I want to frame up this shot. So then you have to turn on viewfinder, and now I think I can do it while I'm sitting down. Normally I stand up, and then because I have to move the phone around in weird directions, but I think it's mainly going to be pointing in this one direction, so I don't even have to get up. So I basically have to hold down this red button the entire time that I'm reframing, and then I hold the camera the way I want the video to look. And I can zoom in and out and do different things. So let's, it's gonna take 30 seconds to reframe. Yeah, these guys are putting luggage down in the cargo hold through the trap door, and that's what I'm filming. So I just have to aim the camera in this direction. Oh yeah, guy's climbing out from the cargo hold. And now he's lowering the trap door, and then they're gonna lock it. And that's pretty much the whole video clip. And that's it. So it's now been reframed on my phone. I save my changes, and now I have to export it because it's still a 360 video. But in order to turn it into normal video, I have to export it from the app, and then I can choose resolution and that kind of thing. Another thing I tried to do to fix the problem was the only variable I can change is bit rate. I can't change the resolution because exported 360 video from the smartphone app maxes out at 1080p. I have no choice. I can't do 1440 or 4K. To do that, I have to do it on the laptop. This maxes out at 1080p. Frame rate is 30. That's the maximum. That's all you can do. But the bit rate, the default is 25 megabits per second, maybe. And I can increase that to 50 or 75 or 100 or 125. And the higher the bit rate, the better quality the video. So I figure, well, I might as well put it to the maximum. That's actually what they recommend, just like set it to 125 megabits per second, set it to the maximum. And I thought maybe if I changed the bit rate, like to a lower bit rate, maybe that would solve the audio syncing problem. And I did a whole bunch of experiments with that. Bit rate makes no difference at all. No. I can set it down to 10, 25, all the way up to 125. It's exactly the same result. The audio is still out of sync with the video, so that doesn't help. So I set it to 125, set it to the maximum, why not? And I hit export. And now this file is busy exporting. This will be a very fast one because it's only 30 seconds long. It's about 40% finished already. And as you can see, it's busy exporting. And there, it's done. And now I've got to do that extra step I mentioned where I have to go find it because it was exported to the phone's internal memory. I renamed the file. This is going to be Fairy 17. Okay, and then I have to copy this to the SD card. When all this is done, of course, I will then be copying all of these to my hard drive, one of my portable external drive. I have two of them for two backups, so I copy all these files to one hard drive, and then I copy them all to a second hard drive, so I have two copies, and then I have to copy them all to my laptop when I do the final edit of the video, because I'm doing the final edits these days on my laptop, not on the phone as much. So that's that one. That one is finished, and now I have to go back to the Insta360 app and move on to the next video, which is another short one. But how many do I have to do today? I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 31 videos to reframe. So I have to do this 31 more times. I've already done half the videos. I've got 30 more to do. And then I have to switch over to GoPro video because, as I mentioned in my other video, when I landed in Dumai and I finally got my bike off the boat and all my luggage was on the bike and I'm ready to ride into Dumai, And that was the official beginning of the trip, and I was so excited, and I'm going to record this amazing, my very, very first bike ride in Indonesia, you know, wow, drum roll please. And as soon as I start riding, I barely go 10 minutes and the 360 camera shut down. It overheated in the Indonesian tropical sun, and it shut down, and I had to put it away and get out my GoPro. And as soon as I started the GoPro, it corrupted the memory card, and I lost all the videos on that card. They were all corrupted. I had to reformat the card in order to continue. And then, yeah, so from that point, all the video I shot that day was from the GoPro. So I'm gonna have to combine the Insta360 file with the GoPro video to make the final video. So that's what I'm doing right now as I record this behind the scenes. This is an interesting clip that I thought I'd talk about for a second. So again, it's a very short one. How long is it? 2 minutes, 20 seconds. It starts off inside the ferry boat. I'm just talking about how how long the boat's been traveling, and they gave us our customs and like documents we had to fill out for our arrival in Indonesia. But then for the very first time, I went through the door to the outside of the boat, and there's like a very small area at the back of the boat where you can go, and it's used as the smoking area, and that's the only place you can go to get outside of the enclosed interior. So I decided to go out there for the first time, and of course bring the 360 camera. But once you're out there in that area, suddenly you really are in a true 360 environment. And then reframing becomes a much more creative process. You have a lot more creative possibilities because everything is interesting. Like, where do you point the camera? I mean, the camera is filming everything, but what perspective do I select? I can be filming, you know, out over the ocean. You see the wake of the boat and the horizon. You see the ocean. You can, you know, spin the camera around, look back at me with a small part of the boat visible. You can look straight down at the water where the propellers are and the water is churning. You can pull way back and get the whole boat in the shot with me. And then at one point I lift the camera up above my head, and then I couldn't see it myself at the time because I can't look around the corner. You know, I'm looking, there's a roof above my head, but I can lift my camera above the boat, and then I got video of the second story of the boat up there. And then you've got the sky up above, you've got the horizon to the right. You know, you can basically do anything you want with the camera. And then if you are a creative person, which I must say I am not, you have all kinds of possibilities for what you do with the camera, the direction it's pointing, and camera movements and things like that. I'm very much a meat and potatoes kind of guy. I just go straight down the middle and just film what's there, and I'm not worrying too much about being creative because I don't know how to be creative with all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's a lot of fun to reframe a shot like that. And you can watch the video a couple of times in advance and then just sort of think about all the possibilities, what you can do. And this is a much more complicated shot, so I'm going to have to stand up while I do it, so I can't really film myself while I'm reframing, but it would be quite boring anyway. You're just going to see me standing here in my room and then turning around in circles and moving the camera and moving my phone all over the place. That's all you would see. So you just have to imagine that's what's going on next. So I just finished reframing that, and I'm more or less happy with what I did. Again, that's an interesting aspect of 360 video. You can do it over and over and over again if you don't like the first attempt, or you can reframe it, save it, reframe it again, save it, reframe it, save it. And you have many different copies, so I can take this same original video and produce an infinite number of videos from it, from different perspectives, and then combine them all in editing and do whatever you want with them. However, as far as I'm aware, I'm not going to live forever. I do not have infinite time to do any of this stuff. So my first attempt, I'm happy with it. So now I'm exporting it. I forgot to increase the bit rate. So I'm probably going to do it a second time. This is the first shot where I go outside the boat and I get that beautiful scenery. So I do want the video quality to be as high as possible. Because I'm talking to you on this camera, I'm sort of losing track of steps a little bit. Because when you export it, you have the default settings, but then if you want to change those, then you have to hit a custom button, and then you get a custom export, and then you can increase the bit rate. And I forgot about that step. So I'm currently exporting it with the default settings. I'll have to do it a second time with the custom settings. Anyway, I'll set that aside. A lot of what I've been talking about, the problems, the technology problems I'm facing, they are compounded by the fact that I rarely have good Wi-Fi access. When I first moved into this room, I seemed to have good Wi-Fi. But it's been going nuts ever since then. So the time that I've been staying here, the Wi-Fi access comes and it goes, it disappears, it comes back. And sometimes I'll be able to log on to the Wi-Fi, but then sometimes it has an internet connection, sometimes it doesn't. I picked up a Telkomsel SIM card with a 32 gigabyte data plan, so I've got all kinds of data. But this is like an old school hotel. Yeah, old school hotel with thick, thick cement walls. And I'm in a room sort of buried deep in the interior with cement all the way around me. So even my mobile plan, I can't get access to it because it can't penetrate through these walls. So it's been driving me crazy. Sometimes I'm trying to upload files and sometimes there's internet. I leave something to upload all night long because I have a Wi-Fi signal, and then I wake up in the morning and nothing has uploaded because during the night the Wi-Fi disappeared or the internet connection disappeared. It's just an ongoing technological jungle that I exist in. And I was thinking about that this morning too, from the point of view of, say, you know, someone making YouTube videos. It pushes you towards a more luxurious lifestyle, because a lot of my problems with Wi-Fi stem from the fact that I'm staying in the cheapest hotels I can find. Well, not quite the cheapest. There are some cheap rooms in Dumai that, yeah, you do not want to stay in those. Even I don't want to stay in those. But this is as cheap as you're going to get. And I do that because my budget will not allow me to go above this level. And when you get into a hotel like this, yeah, you pay a price, a penalty. And one of the penalties is Wi-Fi is not that good. And I think if you want to be if you want to make a lot of YouTube videos and upload a lot of them, you pretty much have to raise your budget. You have to stay in nicer hotels so that you have better access to the internet. You just have to do that. And I was sort of thinking about that as well from the point of view of content, because I'm going to be spending 2 months in Indonesia. And if you were traveling like a normal person and you had a larger budget, you could go to a lot of places in 2 months. So you could go to 10 different famous places. Like if you're flying, for example, then I could just, I could have flown directly to Bukit Tinggi, shot some video there, fly to Padang, fly to an offshore island, get back on shore, fly to Lake Toba. You can jump around, go to Bali, go to Sulawesi. I could probably hit, 10 major, tourist attractions in the country, names that everybody would recognize. Like Bali, everybody knows Bali, but of course, who's going to click on a video from Dumai? Like, Dumai? Where is that? Oh, Sumatra. Really? Who goes to Sumatra? Like, in Sumatra, people maybe they might have heard of Lake Toba. It's the one thing they've heard of. Or they probably heard of Banda Aceh, because that's where the worst damage from the typhoon hit ages ago. That whole city was badly damaged by the typhoon. It has a reputation for that. So people have heard of Banda Aceh, they've heard of Lake Toba, but then that's probably it. After that, they see a YouTube video, Dumai, or all the little towns I'm going to be passing through. They're like, we don't know what those places are. We're not interested in them. But if I had a video of, Ubud, Bali, oh, yeah, I've been to Ubud, and they want to see the video. So it's almost like you have to spend more money to travel faster and go to tourist attractions. That's kind of where YouTube pushes you towards. But of course, that's not really my lifestyle. So here I am still struggling with the lack of Wi-Fi. Funny thing is, this morning I was fighting through this, and I can't make any sense out of it because there's also multiple Wi-Fi networks. When I showed up at this hotel, I asked them, okay, is there Wi-Fi in the room? And they said yes, and they showed me the network. They said you have to log on to lobby. That's the Wi-Fi for this hotel. And I was moving fast. I was checking in. I wasn't, you know, focusing too much on the details. I said, oh, okay, lobby, here's the password, got it, thank you. And I moved on. And then I found out that the lobby Wi-Fi network didn't really work inside this room. And then I looked at the Wi-Fi listings, and there were about, I think, 5 different Wi-Fi networks for this hotel. There's lobby, and they all reach this room. I can see them on the list. There's lobby, there's Wasada, there's Wasada Hotel, there's Wasada 5G, and then there was one more, like it might have been Wasada Staff or something like that. So there's 5 different Wi-Fi networks. And I'm wondering, okay, well, which one to try? Some of them are open, like Wasada. There's no password, so you can click on Wasada. You're logged into it. No internet access. And then you go to Wasada 5G. I think that one has no password either. And I don't know the difference between 5G and Wasada, like Wasada 5G, Wasada, and then Wasada Hotel. You had to have a password. And this password was the same as for lobby, you know. So I'm trying all of these Wi-Fi networks, one after the other, after the other, after the other, trying to see which one will work in this room. And it varies throughout the day. Sometimes one works in the morning, but it doesn't work in the afternoon. And plus I have 5 different devices. I have 3 smartphones, a tablet, and a laptop. So think about that. I've got 5 devices, 5 Wi-Fi networks, and let's say 4 different times of day. So it's like 5 times 5, 25 times 4 times a day. That's 100 variations to test. If you're really trying to find a good internet connection, it's like, okay, well, let's take out this one phone. Let's try this network. Oh, there's no, you know, I can't connect. Let's try this network. Oh, let's try this network. You got 5 options to try. Oh, I can't get on. And the weird thing is, one of my phones will connect to the internet. And I think, oh, I've got internet access. I go to the other phone, it won't connect. Like, it changes all the time, and I don't know what the difference is. And my laptop will never connect. It just has the worst Wi-Fi connection system I've ever seen. It just will not connect most of the time. It drives me crazy. And now I have the option of mobile data. And then if it worked, I could turn on a mobile hotspot on my phone and then connect the laptop through my phone. It's just such a nightmare. And this morning I got so fed up, I thought, well, let's just go to the lobby and like, what is happening out in the lobby where the world is. And I took my phones and my laptop out to the lobby, and I settled down over there, and I checked all the networks, and they all work there. So I have Wi-Fi access in the lobby and mobile data access in the lobby, just not in my room. So it's almost like I want to go up to the front desk and say, listen, can I rent your lobby? Like, can you put a cot in the corner? Like, this is where I want to sleep, and this is where I need to live. I need to live in your lobby because your rooms are not doing me any good. You know, I'll go to my room to take a shower, but can I live in your lobby? You know, it's the low budget lifestyle drives you towards living in the lobby. That's the only place you'll get any Wi-Fi access. Crazy. And yesterday was also something of a technology day because of my Insta360 camera problems, and I have a mounting system on my bike for the 360 camera. I set all that up while I was in Kuala Lumpur, and that was quite challenging, but I figured it out. But then it occurred, you know, it seemed like I wasn't able to use the 360 as much as I thought I was. So now I was trying to figure out a way to mount the GoPro better. And that's what I was working on yesterday. And yesterday I tested this broomstick. I mounted it on the frame of my bike. And then I put a RAM mount on the end. It kind of looks like this gizmo here, where the end of the pole can go in there. And then you tighten it down. And then I've got a nice GoPro mount, at the end of this pole, which works out really well. And I went riding all around Dumai yesterday. I needed to run some errands. I needed to get water, purified water, find a place where I can get purified water. And then I wanted to get fuel for my cooking stove, and I wanted to get a patch kit for fixing flat tires, which I wasn't able to track down in Kuala Lumpur. And I haven't been able to find them here either. My video exported, so that's fine. Now I need to go through that process of renaming it. We will call this one 20, Fairy 20, the next one in the sequence. Fairy 20, and now we need to copy that to my SD card. Paste. All right, it's going to take less than a minute. Nah, it's not going to take very long. But yeah, so I was riding around all day yesterday running errands with my GoPro mounted on the broomstick. And it worked out fairly well, though I noticed something in the stabilization. I've heard people talk about this. GoPros have excellent stabilization, but there's something odd about it sometimes where you have me sitting on the bike very close to the camera, and then you have the background, the world behind me. And the stabilization of the GoPro was applied to the background. So if you look at the background, it's rock steady. Nothing is moving back there. But me in the foreground, I'm kind of jittering and moving around. So it almost looks like I'm a cutout of a human being, and I'm kind of like moving around inside the frame behind me, which is rock steady. I don't know if that's normal or not, because when I shoot with the 360 camera, I think the stabilization is better. It's more natural. And that could be because with the 360 camera, they have a much larger area within which to stabilize. Because the way that works, of course, is like on a GoPro, you're filming this much, and then the actual video might be this much. So the square of what you're filming can move around inside the total sensor perspective. So the sensor perspective of a GoPro is really quite wide, but the part of video that you capture is smaller, and that square of what you're capturing can move around inside the larger square, if that makes any sense. And that's how the stabilization can be so good. But with the 360 camera, like the GoPro field might be this big, but 360 dwarfs it because it's everything. And then your square of reframed video can move anywhere inside that entire sphere. So the room for applying digital stabilization is much greater with the 360 camera. And I'm pretty sure the stabilization ends up looking better with the 360. But anyway, when I was riding on pavement and it was relatively smooth, it looked amazing. It was fine. There was no issue at all. When I got on some really rough roads and the camera was kind of, bouncing up and down and moving a bit, you did get this effect of me kind of moving within the frame with the background being steady. There's something weird looking about that. But of course, if I turn the camera around and have it facing forward without me in the foreground, then it looks great. There's no issues at all. So I was relatively happy with that whole GoPro mounting system. The only thing is that this broomstick has this, what is this, aquamarine tape all the way. So it's very, very bright. And when you look at it, on the bike, it's very noticeable. It just sort of stands out like this bright blue-green stick sticking out from the bike. And my other stick is just plain wood. It's thicker and even lighter than this one, but it's made of plain wood and it doesn't look as obvious. So I might do a test with the plain wood one and see whether it works better or the same. And then I have to decide whether I want a thinner pole that is bright aquamarine or a thicker pole that looks more plain. It just looks like a piece of wood. It looks like a stick. Kind of looks nicer to me than this bright green thing. This looks like a broom handle. That looks like a tree branch, so I kind of like the tree branch approach. I just reframed another video clip of me at the back of the boat, And that was quite an experience, because once you step outside of the interior of the boat, and especially when you're at the back of the boat, the noise of the engines just hits you. They're marine, like boat engines are so loud. And then when you're outside the boat, I mean this is a modern boat where the engines are sealed inside. I've been on boats in the past, like old broken down vehicle ferries that are, you know, 30, 40 years old, and you can go down into the engine room, and the noise down there, you swear, is going to split your head wide open. I think an hour down there and you've lost your hearing. It is so loud. It's amazing how loud those boat engines are. Of course, this is a modern, you know, ferry boat, and it doesn't, you know, even when you're in the passenger area, it's completely soundproofed. You don't hear the engines, anything like that. But step outside, you've got some engine noise, you've got the, you know, the noise of the boat moving through the water, and you've got the noise of the wind, because this boat is moving fast. You feel like you're in a race car, like you're in a jet moving across the water, and the roar of noise is quite crazy. Plus, you're moving so fast, I was worried about the camera, because if you're in the very back of the boat, you're kind of sheltered. But as soon as you stick your head out around the corner, like the edge of the boat, you're hit with this wall of wind. So you're standing there, and if you try to look around the corner, just like, you know, this hurricane force wind is hitting you in the face, and then you go back, you know. It's almost like being in a car on the highway moving at high speed, and you roll down the window and just put your hand out the window, you know, you can feel the force of that wind. So there I am with my selfie stick. My Insta360 invisible selfie stick, and I've got the 360 camera, you know, at the end of this thing, and I'm, you know, holding it here and talking about the boat, this, that, and the other thing. And then if you take this pole and stick it out beyond the edge of the boat, the wind hits that camera, and man, it feels like it's just going to snap this pole right in half. There's so much force being applied to the camera. And that really took me by surprise the first time I did it, because I wasn't really thinking about it. And I thought, oh, I want to take some video, you know, towards the front of the boat, so I'll put the camera out over the edge of the boat. And as soon as I did that, it was like, whoa, you know, the force of it. And then, yeah, I was worried it was going to snap the pole right in half. And then later on, I added a second pole to this. So I put two of them together to make it even, like, make it twice as long. So this is like 4.5 feet or something like that, maybe 5 feet, maybe 4 feet. Put two of them together, it's 8 feet long. And then there's no way I dared put it out to the side of the boat, because the wind force there was way too strong. It would definitely have snapped it right in half. And I could have waved bye-bye to my camera. It would have been in the ocean. The ocean would have claimed my 360 camera. But the wind noise, or the wind force, was a little bit less up above, because you still got the boat ahead of you. So what I tried to do was, you know, lift it high above the boat with two of these attached together. But the higher you went, the, you know, the wind power increased until I got, you know, it was really tense. It was kind of a dumb thing to do, to be honest, because I really wasn't sure if the pole could handle that much force. And I raised it as high as I could, and I could feel the force of the wind up there on the camera. And I left it up there as long as I dared. And then I got to play around with it when it was like 9 or 10 feet long, and I lowered it down off the back of the boat, getting down as close to the water as I dared, so I could get a view of the back of the boat and the full, you know, force of the water, the turbulence of the water from the propellers or whatever was driving this boat. So it was a lot of fun using the 360 camera, but you really had to think about the conditions. There was spray as well. There was quite a bit of water spray coming at the back of the boat. And then the force of the wind was my biggest concern. Because, yeah, you know, these things are not designed for those situations. Yeah, but yeah, that was a lot of fun. And reframing these video clips is a lot of fun. I'm still working my way through these video clips. I'm going to be doing this all day long. This is going to be hours of work to get this done. But I just finished another video clip I shot off the back of the boat, and I shot that one in HDR. And it did look pretty good. It made the skies a lot bluer, the sky, the ocean bluer, my t-shirt more red. It was a bit more vibrant. Though I don't really trust HDR a whole lot because I do love that look, like overly saturated, overly bright, overly sharp. I like that digital look. I know a lot of purist photographers and videographers, they don't like it. They like a more natural sort of look. But I feel like I can get sucked in by HDR. And I look at it and go, wow, that looks great. And then I use it, but then 2 days later, when you're reviewing the final video, suddenly it's like, even for me, it's like, whoa, that's too much, that's garish. It's just so unnatural looking. So I do tend to back away from HDR a little bit. So I think that was the only clip that I shot in HDR. I wanted to do it as a comparison, and it did look pretty good to me, I have to admit. So maybe I should have shot all of those segments in HDR. This was a Fairy 23 video clip. Just dozens more to go. And that's something else about 360 video that makes the process a bit longer than shooting like normal video with a GoPro or any other camera, because you might shoot a lot of video that you don't even intend to use. Maybe you're just shooting it, and so you have a lot of all this extra video. When you just shoot it with a GoPro, you can just skip by it. Basically, when you shoot video with a GoPro, all the video you end up with can be used in the final edit. And it's just a lot faster. You can just sort of look at the whole video. Oh, I don't actually need that video. I don't really want to do anything with it. And you never bother with it. But 360 video, everything you shoot is still just raw material. It isn't actual video yet. So all the video that I shot has to be reframed before I even know what I have. So I guess what I'm saying is you have to process all the 360 video, whether it's good video or not. You have to process all of it. With a GoPro video, you can sort of move a lot faster in terms of rejecting stuff. Like, oh, all that stuff, it didn't work, delete it, it's gone. But 360 video, all of it has to be processed at least once before you even know what kind of video you have. So it also increases the time it takes to edit. This next clip that I just reframed is a really funny one because what I wanted to do was raise the camera as high as I could off the back of the boat. And I think that's when I had the two Insta360 selfie sticks attached together, and I really tightened them down, and I made sure everything was good. And even though the wind was pretty strong up there, I thought I'd just take a chance and lift it as high as I could. But the whole time that I was doing this, it never occurred to me that I was lifting the camera above the boat onto the second floor, like the VIP section. And it never occurred to me that there could be people up there. I didn't know what I was filming. I had no idea. I just raised it up above my head, and I had no idea what was up there. I didn't know what I was filming. But now that I'm reviewing the video clips, I can see it, and there were people up there. And in this clip, there's a guy sitting on a bench. He's one of the VIP passengers, and he's sitting there just, probably having a cigarette, enjoying the fresh air. And then suddenly he sees this weird 360 camera just sort of rising up from below, right in front of him. And he's like, what the? Like, where's that coming from? Like, what is that thing? Like a UFO is suddenly rising up from below, and he's got this camera floating in the air and filming him, and he has no idea what's going on. And right at the end of the clip, you can see him he wants to know what's going on, so he starts to walk towards the edge of the boat, and he's going to kind of look over and kind of see what was going on. But without realizing it, at the exact second that he started to move, that's when I decided to pull the camera down. And I didn't do it because he was getting closer to the camera. I didn't even know he was there. I had no idea what I was filming. I just lifted up the camera, held it there for a few seconds, and then pulled it down again. But I just happened to pull it down at the exact second that he just sort of went towards the camera, and then so as he started to move towards the camera, the moment he started moving, the camera started going down. So I think he thought, whoever was controlling the camera could see him doing that and was worried or something, was just sort of like pulling it away from him. And so he's like, oh, okay, no, and he sat back down again. Anyway, I had this whole interaction with this young man up in the VIP section, and I had no idea I was even filming him. I had no idea anybody was even up there. I didn't know what I was capturing on video. That was pretty funny. Oh, still busy reframing video clips from my ferry ride. Yeah, I think there is a danger sometimes if you have like something like a 360 camera, you kind of get caught up in the mood. You suddenly think you're James Cameron or something, and you're some sort of a director of photography with your own team, and you're busy just shooting more and more and more video, getting every angle. Let's get some video of the boat from this side. Let's get some video of the ocean from over here. You're getting coverage of everything. And it's very fun to do in the moment. And shooting all this video and watching all this video is a lot of fun. But then when it comes time to sit down and edit all this video, it's like, oh, for Pete's sake, get a grip. Like, you just don't have enough time to work through all the video that you shot. I mean, shooting the video is the easy part. Processing it and editing it and copying it, and that's just takes time. So you kind of have to, I think you have to show some filming discipline and think, okay, I think I have enough video of the boat. Like, even if I have 20 more minutes of video of the boat that looks amazing, what am I going to do with it? I only need a few seconds of the boat. Shoot the boat and you're done. But that being said, the video clip that I just reframed, that's my favorite one of all, because I lowered the camera as far as it could go, like right down off the back of the boat, as close to the water as I could. And I got this shot from like the level of the water, showing the back of the boat with all the turbulent water from the propellers, and then looking straight up at me and the rest of the boat, like I'm above. It's a very cool shot. That's my favorite shot so far. So I'm kind of glad I got that. But yeah, long ways to go. And to do that, I need another cup of coffee. It's actually, it's almost 12. It's almost noon now. I didn't have breakfast. I was awake at 4 a.m. this morning, starting this whole process. So basically, yeah, I've been working. How long is that? It's 8 hours I've been working. And yeah, I didn't have breakfast, and it's lunchtime now, and I barely even scratched the surface of just reframing all this video. Yeah, it's a bit much, but anyway, I'm gonna make myself another cup of coffee. Man, that was a long project though. Like, even getting water took a long time. I was trying to find a water purifying place, and I didn't see one. Like, when I was out cycling around all of my neighborhoods, changing hotels and getting a SIM card, doing all these errands, I was keeping my eyes open for a water purification business, and I just didn't see one anywhere. So then I had to resort to Google Maps, and I'm typing in English words like, water purification, and then I'm using Indonesian, like air, you type in air, and then you find all these locations. And I went out on my bike yesterday to find one of these places, and I couldn't track them down everywhere I went. The first few of them, they just weren't there. They were marked on the map. And I just happened to pick a couple of them that were extremely difficult to reach. I ran into like a highway system, and the water purification center was on the other side of this major highway. And had I known that highway was so difficult to cross, I would never even have tried to get to that one, but I'd come that far, so I thought, well, I might as well keep going. And I got across the highway, across this pedestrian bridge, carrying my bike up and down these stairways. And then when I get there, there is no water purification center there. There's no water business there at all. So the Google Maps pin was not right. So I couldn't find it there, and then I just rode around and around and around. I was looking for fuel as well for my stove, and I was looking for that at the same time. And then as I was looking for fuel, then I actually found a water purification place, filled up all my water bottles, And I filled up my water bag, so I've got 10 liters of purified water in here. So I got 10 liters here, and then 5 liters in my bottles. So I got a total of 15 liters of purified drinking water, and it cost 4,000 rupiah, which is very reasonable. It's like 16,000 to the dollar. So yeah, that's 25 cents. 25 cents US for 15 liters of purified drinking water. So that worked out in the end. And I also wanted to find cooking fuel, and I show that whole story in the video, so I don't have to go over it in detail. But again, it was kind of funny because the fuel I need has different names in different countries. And then when I went to this hardware store, they didn't know it by the names that I know it by. But then I remembered that in Indonesia, they use this fuel as paint thinner. They think of it as paint thinner for acrylic. Like it's not an oil-based paint, but water-based paint. What do you call that? I can't think of the name for it. What is water-based paint called? I can't think of it. But anyway, it's used as thinner for that kind of paint, and they call it. When I said to the guy, "Yeah, it's paint thinner," he says, "Oh, well, we have a paint thinner." And I asked him, "Well, can you show me what it looks like?" Because I figured if they showed me the bottles, then I would recognize it. Like just talking to him at the desk, we were having trouble communicating, but if I can actually see what he's got in the store, then I can know, I'll know whether I can use it or not. And he got out all these small bottles of paint thinner, and then as soon as he took this one out, I recognized the name instantly. Spiritus, that's what they call it. Like it's a spirit alcohol, right? So spiritus, and this one is Sumo brand, spiritus, and then something about a sumo wrestler. So that's what I ended up getting. And my alcohol stove, my Tranja, burns this type of fuel. A funny thing about this fuel is that it is used in many different ways around the world, and the price goes up or down depending on what it's packaged for, So it doesn't have an intrinsic value. So I noticed that in Canada, I've been using this fuel my entire life, and in Canada it's used as antifreeze. And when you buy antifreeze, of course, you buy a large volume of it. You might buy 4 liters, like a gallon of antifreeze. So when you go to a hardware store, you get a gallon of methyl alcohol at a very cheap price because you're buying it in bulk as antifreeze. And in other places, the only use they have for it is like medicinal, like for disinfecting wounds and things like that, or like purifying things, sterilizing things. And then it's considered quite valuable, and you buy a small bottle of it, and it's extremely expensive. And here they use it as paint thinner, and they sell it in these relatively small bottles. So again, the price per volume unit goes up because it's a smaller bottle, But this was still only 12,000 rupiah for this. So yeah, 75 cents US for this bottle, which to be honest, for this fuel is fairly expensive. When I was in Sumatra before, I found hardware stores that sold it in bulk. They had it in like 55-gallon drums. And then I would give them like 1.5 liter water bottles and say, just fill that up. And they put a funnel in the bottle, and then they would fill 1.5 liters from their 55-gallon drum. And then it costs next to nothing because, again, I was buying it in bulk. So it's kind of a weird substance. The price fluctuates dramatically depending on the packaging and what it's used for. My phone is over there busy exporting another 360 video clip and turning it into regular flat video. Yeah, there's so many ins and outs with shooting with 360 video. And I'm guessing that one solution to my audio video syncing problem would be to purchase a new, much more powerful phone. But again, I'm just guessing. for me, this phone is the most powerful and the most amazing piece of technology I've ever owned. It was actually given to me by a Planet Doug subscriber. It's a Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus. And when it came out, of course, I forget what year it came out. Is it dates from 2019 maybe? 2019, I think. But it was the flagship phone of 2019. So like for me, it's like the most amazing piece of technology I've ever had in my hand and ever owned, for sure. And as a flagship device from 2019, it's more than powerful enough to run the Insta360 app. However, it is now 2022, and the app I'm running now is the newest updated version that you have to install in order to work with the X3 camera, which just came out this year. So it's a possibility that, it seems amazing to me, but it's a possibility that this phone is not powerful enough to do what I need it to do. And perhaps my problem would be solved if I bought Samsung Galaxy's newest, latest flagship phone for 2022 or something like that, which obviously I am not going to do, couldn't afford to do anyway. Doesn't make a lot of sense to buy a $1,000 phone just so you can edit 360 video clips. But anyways, that's a possibility. Plus another advantage, I guess, to a newer phone would be you get to use another feature. On my phone, this is way behind the scenes. This is behind the scenes of behind the scenes. But the way the app works on my phone, as I mentioned, there's a big red button on the screen. And as you reframe the video, you have to put your thumb over that red button and hold it down the entire time that you're reframing. That turns on the reframing feature. And if your thumb comes loose from the button, it turns off. So you have to hold it down the entire time. And that's really hard to do. Like if you say, if you have like a 10-minute video clip that you're reframing, to have the mental and physical concentration to keep pressing your thumb down on the phone screen 100% of the time and never relax, because if you relax even a little bit, it turns off. So you have to press hard with your thumb while you're reframing for the entire 10 minutes, and you have to concentrate really hard to keep pressing, because it's really hard to do something physical like that over a 10-minute period. It's hard. Your brain drifts, and then your thumb just sort of loses its, you stop pressing down. And if you do it for 10 minutes and you do it for like 35, 60 video clips in a row, your thumb is in agony. Like my hand right now is so sore. I have to keep shaking it out because my thumb it really hurts. You have to press down all the time and your thumb gets really, really sore. And I have to keep shaking it out and relaxing and loosening it up. The new version, like I've never been able to use it. I've never tested it because I've never had access to a phone that could do this. If you have a more powerful phone with a more powerful chip inside it, then it turns on, it unlocks another feature where the reframing, you don't have to hold the button down with your thumb. It's a switch, and you click the button once, that turns on reframing, and that's it. And then it keeps running until you click it again. And that makes so much more sense. I have no idea why they developed it with this hold down the button with your thumb system originally. But the new system, they changed it, and you just click a button, and then when you're done, you just click it again. And I really wish I could do that. And maybe if I had a phone that did that, that could run that app, it would also get rid of the audio-video syncing problem. But I don't know. I've never tested it. I had a chance to test it when I was in KL, but for some reason I just completely forgot. Because I think my friend Daryl from Wander Eats, he has a Samsung Galaxy like S22 Ultra. He has one of the newest, most powerful, flagship devices. And I was even talking to him about it, that we should test this, put Insta360 app on your phone, copy a couple of video files, and then just play around with it and see how it works. And I kept intending to do that, and then for some reason, never ever got around to it, never did it. But anyway, and I just noticed right now something really funny. I was trying to reframe another video clip, and the reframing kept turning off. Like I was pressing down with my thumb the entire time, and it still kept clicking off. And I thought, oh, what is going on? And then I realized that because I'm in this air-conditioned room and I've been doing this for so long, my thumb dried out. My thumb is completely dry. And of course, you need some moisture on your skin for the surface of the smartphone to sense that something is touching it. I guess that's how it works. If your thumb is like just dry, it doesn't register. So I'm sitting here, I'm kind of licking my thumb, licking it, and spreading moisture around every time I'm going to reframe a video, just so I have enough moisture on there that, oh, okay, now the phone knows that my thumb is there. I mean, it's just, the hoops I have to jump through are just ridiculous. Plus, when you're reframing on a phone, you have to stand up and then move around as you do it, and that's using up phone battery, and eventually the battery dies and has to be recharged. So you have to plug in the phone again, and then because the cord is holding the phone, you're trying to move it around, but the cord gets in the way, you know? So it's just like problem after problem after problem. But hey, I am working through it and enjoying my next cup of coffee. Still chugging along. I have 18 more video clips to reframe today. But I think it is time to take a break. I have to plug in the phone and recharge it in order to keep going. So while the phone is recharging, I think I'll go out into the city, get some lunch. I'm in the mood for some bakso. Yeah, I know a good place to go. I found it yesterday. Or there might be a new place in my neighborhood. I don't know where I'll end up. And I'm thinking about dropping by the bike shop again, just to kind of look at all the accessories there. And they actually had a big cabinet full of cycling pants. And I'm not a big fan of dedicated cycling gear. I generally don't put on all the, the lycra, tight-fitting cycling clothing. I would just ride. I ride around basically how I'm dressed now. My Manchester United t-shirt, my green pants. I might zip off the pant legs to turn them into shorts if I'm riding a long distance, but I'd basically wear this clothing. But at the same time, on my most recent bike trips, the longer ones that I've taken, I experienced a lot of trouble with pain in my butt sitting on the saddle. And it became so severe that it prevented me from cycling. I'd be cycling for a few hours and I would still be full of energy. My legs had lots of energy left. I could ride for many hours more, but the pain in my butt was so strong that I just couldn't stay seated on the bike any longer. And I've been playing around with all kinds of solutions. You change the geometry of your bike so that you're more stretched out. Take some weight off your butt, put more weight on your arms, more weight on your pedals. You try to adjust things. I bought a gel pad for my saddle, like a gel thing. And you try all these different techniques to try and make it more comfortable, but nothing I did would help. And I was in so much pain that it prevented me from cycling, and I'm worried that that's going to happen again. And these cycling pants, they actually have gel inserts sort of built into them in sensitive areas. And then maybe, I've never ever worn one of these pairs of cycling pants. I've never tried one. So maybe I should buy a pair and then just see, maybe they will help. But they wouldn't be like tight-fitting pants. The only ones I would ever buy I would want them to look like normal shorts on the outside. I want pockets. I want lots of pockets, zippered pockets if I can get them. And I want them just to be flowing and loose, just like a normal pair of shorts. I'm not in the Tour de France here. I don't need to be streamlined against the wind. I don't need tight-fitting lycra. So I just want a normal pair of shorts, but then on the interior, it would have built-in padding to help with that pain. So I might go back to the bike store and just see, do they have any that fit me, for one thing, and how expensive are they, things like that. So that's what I might do right now.